Hello and welcome to another episode of My Backstage Pass. This is your host, Billy Hubbard, and I'm here with my best half, Sarah. Today, we're really excited to have award-winning singer-songwriter, guitarist, record label owner, Michelle Malone as our guest. And she just released her new record, Southern Comfort. Great album that features a host of all-star artists. So, Michelle, we're really excited she took time to talk to us today.
Yes, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Where are you in Georgia? Is that where you're based there?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta, more or less, just outside of it, and I'm from here, so I've been known to move around, but I seem to always come home.
Hey, I hear you. We're just a little north of you up in Tennessee here. Actually, our daughter lives in Atlanta. Our youngest daughter.
Really?
I grew up in Atlanta.
Yeah, Sarah.
You did?
I grew up in College Park.
Wow. Well, I'm down in Fayetteville near the airport now.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's really. Her dad worked for Delta, so yeah, they were down there before we met, actually. So that's been a long time ago.
A very long time.
But hey, we really seriously been digging your album, Southern Comfort. I mean, of course, great songwriting, but wow, you pulled together quite an all-star group of some of our favorite artists, man. Like, how did you pull all that together? I mean, that's not including the songwriting, your co-writer. We'll talk about that later. But wow, Blackberry Smoke, Charlie Starr, and Buddy Miller, Randall Bramlett. Man, this some folks that we know.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to, just have been born here and get to know a lot of great musicians in Georgia. And then I've been playing music here for a long time. And, after a certain amount of time, you just get to know folks in the industry that you came up with. And it all really kind of happened organically. For starters, the title track is Southern Comfort, right? And that's an older song. And I wanted to re-record it as a tribute to my friend and drummer for my first band, Drag the River. He passed away a couple years ago, and he loved this song, Southern Comfort, so much. And so I tried to find the original track that we demoed back when we were on Arista, and I swear I had everybody that ever had anything to do with the studio searching the state of Georgia.
Oh, man.
All the universities and the studios and like all the vaults, and it was nowhere to be found. It must have gotten thrown out somewhere. But so we ended up re-recording the song, and I thought, well, if I can't have Billy, his name was Billy Pitts, and if I can't have him on there, then I'll just get all his friends.
Oh, what a good
and when
idea.
yeah, so it's just a nice little tribute to him. And Charlie was in the band with Billy. Rick Richards was in the band with Billy, and Joey Huffman. And so I just tried to get a lot of his friends that I've known forever on there, and it worked out nicely. And then while Charlie was in the studio, it just sounded so darn good. I kept going, well, gosh, you'd sound really good on this next song. You want to give it a listen? And so I ended up having him on maybe 3 or 4 songs, and it kind of just went like that. And then there'd be a song we'd work on that I thought needed a specific part, like a beautiful Wurlitzer. And the guy to call for that is Randall Bramlett.
Oh yeah, we talked to him not long ago.
Oh, it's nice to have a pocket full of people you can call.
It really is, and that's one of the reasons I love to record in Georgia. I mean, I do try to keep it local just to support my community, right?
Right. But it does keep that Southern sound going because they are Southern. Yeah,
absolutely. And then, and just because you're not from Georgia doesn't mean I don't want you. So I got around to asking Buddy Miller to play a part on the song, and it's real funny. We kept trying to come up with a part for this song called "I Choke on My Words," and
great
of course
song.
That's the one. Thank you. That's one that Randall Bramlett played on, and it was really beautiful. But it needed something, and we kept messing around with it. My guitar player and I. My guitar player is Doug Keys, and he played on every track. And he's featured on a lot of beautiful tracks, but his name is not as well known, but he should be, because he's fantastic.
Oh,
But
yes.
anyway, we futzed and futzed with that track, and I kept going, well, let's try more delay. Let's try this, that, and the other. And I finally went, man, I'm just going to call Buddy, because this is just right up his alley. So it was real funny. I called him, and he's so humble, and he tried to act like he didn't know if he could do it or not. and I thought, well, hey, gosh, he must just be having a day or something, because everybody else knows he can do anything.
I know. That's pretty crazy. It makes me feel better. Someone is like him that thinks they can do something.
Well, we all have that moment. We're like, gosh, I don't know. I'll give it a try. And that's what he said. And I'm like, well, please do. And so I sent the track up to him, and boy, he knocked it out of the park and sent it back. And I just wanted to cry. It was so good.
That's relief.
So beautiful. It really is. But I mean, he took it to just another level.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, I'm kind of not a big time musician like you, but I recorded a record a couple of years ago, and I had some guys in the studio that were so good. I was kind of intimidated to tell them to do this or do that. I thought, man, these guys, like, I don't know if you know Sean Camp, he's a good friend of ours, guitar picker in Nashville. And then Charlie McCoy on the harmonica. But anyway, I was just intimidated. I just said, hey guys, I trust you to do what you do, which I'm glad I did. But that's what I was going to ask. If you had, when you're working with these guys, how did you, as far as collaborating, how involved were you in the final production process to shape the sound the way you wanted?
Let me go back and address what you just said, how you just you hire the best musicians that you can find, and then you trust them to do what
Right.
you like. That is really smart, and that's what I try to do. Because if you know who you're hiring, if you know what they're good at, and that's what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
So the record before this, I did more of a laid back singer-songwriter record, and those are the people I hired. People who were really good at that. And there may be other people who were good at it too, but those are just the ones I knew at the time could do it. And that's, delegating it is a whole art, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
But so that was really smart that you did that. I'm pretty hands-on, and having said that, I don't often have to tell players what to play. However, a lot of times I hear parts in my head, and if they're banging around the ballpark, but they're not quite on it, I'll sing them apart, or, we'll work together. Right.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And sometimes it works that way. And sometimes they just immediately step up and hit a home run, and I just don't have to do a thing, which is a beautiful thing too. But even if they don't, it doesn't mean that they can't. It just means that we're having a meeting of the minds, and we're going to collaborate and make it work,
Isn't that part of the fun, though? Is just working it out and watching it be born and come to life? I mean, to me,
absolutely.
That's just the fun part,
The creative process in the studio is one of my favorite things. I think it is my favorite part. It's like you're making an audible painting.
Yeah. Yes.
And you can be so in the moment, much like songwriting. But songwriting for me is work most of the time. I put too much importance on it, and I'm really hard on myself. But when I'm in the studio with other people and I get to collaborate, then that's when the fun begins.
Oh yeah, you pull off each other.
Yeah, I remember actually.
Absolutely.
I think that was you. I listened to different interviews myself and podcasts, and I'd heard. I think you said the only one I ever heard this. It said you wrote a song off of a photo or a picture or something once, or is that you?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's a
it's a song called Dust Bowl Man.
oh that's it. Okay. Well, hey, I think I like that idea. I'm gonna start looking through. Sarah's got a bunch of old magazines, Southern Living or something. I don't know if that's
A lot.
anyway.
Love a lot.
I'm gonna go through there and find a cool old picture.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to do it, but
Well,
yeah, I love collaborating and that creative process is my favorite.
well, I have a question about the entire album. How long from start to finish did you work on that project, the Southern Comfort?
Well, normally we go in the studio live, we track and get basic tracks. That's, bass and drums and
Sure.
sometimes guitars and sometimes vocals. They just go down live. And then we'll go back and overdub some on it. And it generally doesn't take more than a week. But I hired a producer this time, and I was sort of in charge of basic tracks, and then we went back to his studio after a week, and he had some ideas that he wanted to get down, and it became 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then it became 3 months, and deadlines would come and go, and I don't know. We kind of came to a fork in the road, and so I took the record back, the tapes back, or whatever they are, the files now,
Sure.
back to the original studio that I like to record in Atlanta, and it's called Bakos Amp Works with Jeff Bakos. And we just went back in and did it like I've done my last 5 or 10 records. So it was still a collaboration, but I had to kind of put it back on my dirt road that I like, so that it sounded and felt like me.
Sure.
So to answer your question in a really long roundabout way, it probably took 5 or 6 months just to turn in, and not because we were recording all that time. It just, gosh, I don't know what happened.
Well, it's just a process. It's a process.
On.
It's gotta come out right. I mean,
well, I wasn't there for a lot of that time, and he was just the producer was just kind of adding on things that he felt was necessary, and it was beautiful, but I had to kind of bring it back to my world, and that's when I went in the studio and called in my friends and was like, come over here and mess this up with me, make it dirty again.
no, I totally understand that.
Well, now, did you have too many songs where you had to leave one out, or did you pretty much narrow it down? Easy to narrow it down.
I always have a few extra songs in my back pocket, and we narrowed it down to, is it 11 on there? I like to put 11. I think that's a good number.
That's a great number.
Yeah.
So and some of the songs were older, and I pulled those out of my back pocket, and then next time I'll have a little fodder, so when you sit down to write your next record, you don't feel quite as intimidated by it, knowing you have to come up with 10 or 11 songs or whatever. I used to write all the time, but now I've just gotten to the point where I just write when I know it's time to make a new record. It's kind of a lazy man's way of doing it, I guess.
Yeah. I've heard some artists I know, they say they need a creative break, and gosh, now, was this your 16th or 17th album?
17th.
Oh, Sarah knows.
Yeah, I don't know. I lose track because there's so many ways to count it.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that's really true.
Yeah.
They're live records and they're studio records, and then there's studio records that are unplugged, and then there's records that overlap, and shoot, I don't know. It's not quantity, it's quality, right?
Exactly.
I've made a lot of records, but some of them are real good.
Yeah. I know today 3-minute song's not as important like it used to be. So I like some of the songs there. They go a little longer, whatever it takes to get your.
Well, especially if you get a good jam in it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love guitar, and by the way, I love slide guitar. You're really the way you play. I love how you can do different styles. Of course, and you bring all these guys together like get great guitarists. Holy cow! I would have been in heaven in that session, just sitting there listening.
It was heady. I mean, it was good stuff. I mean, Will Kimbrough, he's such a great slide player, and he's so tasty and technical, but super tasty, right? Soulful. And he laid down a great part on Barbed Wire Kisses. And, I have a certain style of slide guitar, but it's a lot more erratic. It's kind of spazzy, and like I'm just more of a raw player than I hunt and peck and make up for my lack of technical ability with just raw energy.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you need a guy who can actually play a beautiful melody. So
I like the sketchy
Will-
hunt and peck better.
well, it's fun. It's definitely fun. But that just wasn't what I wanted on that song. I don't know. I have a lot of those records that are more raw than this, and more raw and just rowdy. But this is where I'm at right now, and who knows what I'll do next.
Yeah, I like it. I can sort of feel the '70s thread through there. I mean, I'm a big fan of hard to get past '70s, the great music, and then you had, I've always loved the Georgia Satellites too. So,
Oh man,
we're big
so
fans.
good.
Yeah, and Blackberry Smoke, they come to the shed near us here.
Oh, I know the Shed.
Yeah,
I love that place.
Yeah, it's a cool
And
place.
and are you fans of Blue Mother Tupelo?
yeah. Actually, they played our venue. Sarah and I have had a venue for the last 10 years called The Station, not to be confused with the Station Inn. We were actually the station before the Station Inn as far as the name of the area. But so, yeah, we had them there. It's been a few years, but yeah. And then
That's super cool.
We're friends with Scott, the guy that owns the shed, and the guy that
we got to
everybody
house
comes
the
down.
whole film crew for Blackberry Smoke one time.
Oh yeah, we're friends with of course the sad news about Brett passing away was terrible. And so they always donated money to the child cancer thing, and so we were friends with the crew, the lady that kind of ran that and the film crew. So they would come stay with us at the house here when they were in town. But yeah, that's pretty cool that you have those guys on there. Maybe we'll catch you over there sometime if those guys if you come up with them.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a fun show.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh, that would be a great show.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. Do you have a favorite lyric or a line from this album? Is there one thing that stands out to you? Just one, is there one thing?
Or maybe one song, maybe,
Not.
Well, they all sound so
it's kind
personal.
of like saying what's your favorite kid.
Right. Well, but they all sound so personal,
Oh yeah, and the first time Sarah and I listened to the song "Choke on My Words," I think was the title of
It
it.
is the most authentic song I've ever heard
We
in
were
my
both
life.
saying, "Oh my goodness, that's."
I mean, I could sing that song myself, but I don't want to admit it. It was a great
That's
song.
a special song. That's the first real song that Dean, Dylan, and I wrote together when we first met and sat down.
Oh, man.
We wrote some little ditty before that, but it wasn't, it wasn't something either of us would really record or consider. But the next song was I Choke on My Words, and I brought in this idea. On the way out there on the plane, I was really nervous because I'd never met Dean, and I usually write with people I already know, and for one, and for another, he's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I was a little intimidated, but I was freaking out on the plane on the way out there, and I'm writing on my phone just fodder for songs and coming up with stuff that was already in my phone, and I had that idea, and I thought it was going to be a funny song, and because it literally had been happening at a lot of shows. People have been coming up to me and going, "Hey, Michelle, remember that time in 1990 we, blah, 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 or you did this, or, and I would always be completely horrified and embarrassed. And they'd be like, no, it was really funny. And because I guess hindsight being 2020, they just can look back on it and laugh. But I was always just, oh my God, I'm so sorry I did that. Well, I'd apologize and they'd be okay with it. So anyway, I thought it'd be funny and I showed it to Dean, and boy, his eyes got real big and he looked at me and he goes, "You wrote this?" I said, "Well, yeah." Oh. And he picks up his guitar and strums a few chords. And I swear 60 seconds later, he starts playing that melody to those lyrics.
Wow.
And it was, he's that way.
That's inspired.
He and I have a similar background in that respect, where we were super wild people until we weren't anymore. And, I don't want to say we have a lot of shame, but there were a lot of apologies that needed to be made to people over time. And so he could really relate to that. And he ran with it. And, that was such a gift.
Wow.
So after we wrote that, I knew, okay, now we're really off to the races.
Oh, it's a great song. I've really enjoyed it.
And I gotta say, it takes. That says a lot about your talent to have Dean Dillon want to write with you. Even, gosh, it's like a songwriter's dream. I'd be afraid if I wrote with him. I'm such a slow writer. I'd feel like I'd bore him to death. I tried some writing sessions, and where we all stare at each other.
Right, I've been there, and that's one of the reasons I was so nervous. Because you never know if it's going to work out or not. And sometimes it does, like, lightning in a bottle like that. And other times it's just so laborious and then nothing really comes of it. And you just end up going to lunch, which is fine too. But I've done that too. And so I didn't want to waste his time.
Right.
And luckily I didn't. So the second time we got together, we wrote some other gems that are some of my favorites and a little more upbeat, like Mother Like Daughter.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love
I know
that
that's
song.
one of my favorites.
My mother just passed away, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, thank you, but it made me search me for her. And
she had dementia, and
it made me search me for her, because it's been such a long time since I remember her, and it really brought up a lot of thoughts, a lot of memories. And so I really do appreciate that. And I hope my daughters are like
I'm
me.
Glad.
I'm actually more like my father than I was my mother at all, but it did provoke a lot of thought about where her and I aligned. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that it had some positive effect on
it. Did
you? My mother, she actually asked me when I was going to write a song about her when I was down there writing with Dean, and I have written songs about her, and I think she just meant a nice one, because in the past I wrote songs that weren't so nice. And so I sat down and started that one, and it started making me giggle, and I took it into Dean, and he laughed, and we just finished it up. And it's one of my favorites because I think it's not only creative, but very accurate, not just for me, but for most of us.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all have two sides. We all have the light and the dark, and we all have the good and the bad. And so it was the best and the worst of both my mother and I. I mean, I'm a reflection of her for sure. So I guess we all are.
I love how people and yourself, songwriters, can pull words together and draw a picture. I don't play music, I paint pictures. And so my life is kind of a cartoon. I I see things at, like that's why I like your hunt and peck scruffiness, you were talking about, because if it's too structured, I don't see the pictures. And I like to, you know what I mean? When a song will provoke something in me, then it'll always be part of me. There's so many songs that just pass over and glaze over. I'm just like, yeah, okay. But no, that one song about the mother and even Choke on My Words really, it provoked something in me.
Yeah, I try to record, or I try to write songs that are visceral to me personally, and then those are the ones I want to record, because those are the ones I end up having to perform day in and day out, or night in and night out. So those are the ones I enjoy singing, that I can really feel and relate to.
Well, yeah, when you can put your passion into something like that, then your audience can feel it too.
Yeah, and I definitely have some that are, I guess, what you'd call a little more slick in the past, but I don't tend to gravitate to those as much.
Sarah's got this condition. I don't know. I shouldn't say condition.
I have a condition.
No, I mean a talent. What's it called, Sarah?
I don't have any idea.
No, when you see or when you hear music notes, you see colors. What's that called?
I don't know.
There's a name for that.
I don't know. The smells have alphabet letters to me. It's a weird.
It's
weird,
really fascinating.
Weirdo.
I think it's a sixth sense or something. Sixth.
But music has to do something like that for me, or I'm just bored with it.
Well.
Yeah, well, that's an intuitiveness that a lot of people don't haven't developed yet. And gosh, I wish I had that. What a gift.
Well, it's
colors, yeah.
Sometimes it's a gift. Because when Billy's playing, I have to see it. I have to be able to see what he's doing. I have to see the picture, or I don't like the song.
You don't have to see me though, right?
No. But literally, those two songs particularly really did evoke or something, a picture and an emotion, and I think that's what music's all about anyway, are the emotions.
Absolutely. Is it called synesthesia?
Maybe.
We looked it up.
We just know it's a disorder.
It's not a disorder. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
I would call that a gift, not a disorder. But I think that unless it bothers you or keeps you up at night.
No, it just freaks him out sometimes.
Well,
it seems like it would be like that movie Fantasia or something.
Oh,
maybe so. Well, what happens sometimes, she'll have like pain, like if you mash your finger or something, you'll see a color, and it's not just music. It's really, anyway, you're right. It is a gift, but yeah,
it's a something.
Wow.
My dad just laughed at me.
We're talking about songwriting. I was going to ask you, this is a hang up that I have that I've been trying to recover from for a while, is like if I'm doing a songwriter round or something, I feel the need to explain too much. So people said, "Hey, you're like explainer man or something." And I thought, well, what's a bad thing? Do you ever feel the need to explain a song, if you're in a position where, that kind of thing, where you can explain the song before you play it?
I don't know if it's my personality or my generation, or gosh, I don't know what it is. If it's just because I'm Gen X, or it's because I'm just quiet, or what. But I don't like to explain anything. I just like to do. So I'm not that good in a round. I mean, I've had to force myself to learn to talk about songs. And when I first started, I would just play music and not really say much of anything to the audience. And it took me years to realize that was a negative. That people wanted to get to know me as well as hear the music. And so I got better at it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't really enjoy a round as much as some people, because there's starting and stopping and starting and stopping. I like to put on a show and really get going.
Right.
I totally agree.
It's it's like riding a bike downhill. Like, sure, I'm going to climb it, and then I want to ride down the hill without stopping,
Right.
But I do appreciate doing them, and I think it's good for me. But sometimes it is sort of, sing us, interrupt us.
Yeah. Well, hey, we got Southern Comfort queued up here, so we're going to play a little bit. Is there anything else you want to explain about that?
About the song Southern Comfort?
I'm just kidding. We're talking about you don't. Yeah, you don't want to explain your song. No, I was just joking, but because
you're so funny.
You have no idea.
Well, I don't mind talking about it in an interview. That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to be serious there.
I was going to say, for someone who doesn't want to talk about their songs, you do a really good job.
That's true.
Well, I don't like to talk that much on stage, and I'll get to going, but it's just because I've learned to do it.
It's a bit distracting, like you said.
To learn to do it.
It's distracting.
When I talk more when I play solo or duo, just because it's more personal.
Sure.
But when I play with a band, I don't talk nearly as much. I feel like that's more of a full-on performance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when we're sitting here talking, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to talk.
Right. That's totally
Thank
different.
you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be appropriate.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to play this. We're not even going to talk about it. Here we go. So let's give it a spin.
Searching for a song in a hotel room. Why does summer have to come and go so soon? Now I'm stuck here in New York City, watching the snow swirl. It makes me dizzy. I wish I was home to see the dogwood bloom. Saw the band, 'cause we need some southern comfort. Ain't talking about booze. We need some southern comfort to cure these homesick blues. And if I make it to Atlanta, I'll find a reason to believe in a little southern comfort. Southern comfort, if you please. I'm going home to find a friendly face. Sit on my porch and rock my cares away. Set a place for me at your table come Sunday. 'Cause we need some southern comfort. Ain't talking about booze. I need some southern comfort to cure my heartsick blues. And if I make it back to Atlanta, I'll find a reason to believe in a little southern comfort.
I could hear that Rod Stewart influence. I think I read that was part of that song, right?
Well, I love the 12 string. I love the way he used the mandolin and the fiddle, but it was rocking.
Yeah.
It wasn't country, but it had a homespun feel to it, very organic. And I love the upbeat fun of his early music. Like it just always had a good vibe and a good beat. And so, yeah, I mean, that was on my mind, because how else can you record a song like that with a 12 string and a mandolin and a fiddle and not think about it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
I loved it. I heard just a few guitar licks and I said, wait a minute. And then when I read it, I said, oh yeah, Maggie May. It was, had a little dash of that in there. I love that sound. Sarah's always been a big Rod Stewart fan. Actually, what would you tell me, Sarah, about you? You got into trouble for?
Oh, my parents wouldn't let me listen to music growing up. And one of my first albums, that was their thing. And so I got handicapped, but Billy has caught me up and I've learned a lot. But when my dad found out I had the Do You Think I'm Sexy album, I just about did not make it to 15. He almost
it must be exciting to get to hear all that for the first time.
Do you know, I'm so jealous of you. I mean, you've had a music career, but when I read who you've played with, it's not a career, it's a fantasy. I mean, you've lived a fantasy of so many people. And
well, it's funny because it all happened so slowly and over a long period of time. And then one day you look back and you're like, yeah, wow, a lot happened. But
holy cow, look at the road.
Like it at the time.
No, it's amazing. Yeah. But I would like to know what advice you would give to a young lady who is trying to follow in your footsteps right now.
I'm not really. I'm really good at telling you what not to do, because I did everything wrong.
I understand that.
Music business is tough. I mean, yeah.
Technically, I can tell you how to make a record. I can produce it for you. I can tell you how to distribute it and who to work with and promote it and all these things. But when it gets down to telling you how to get yourself from point A to point B, it's really just freaking astrological. I don't think there's a rhyme or reason to it.
Well, you found your brother's guitar.
Work. That's right. It's keeping a positive attitude and staying focused on what you want instead of what you don't want, and just keep working at it. So if you're a career musician and it's your passion, that's going to be easy to do, because even though it's very difficult at times, emotionally and physically, it's what you love, it's your passion, and you don't want to do anything else. I mean, gosh, I've quit 100 times, and here I am putting out my 17th record or whatever. So
it's bad. I mean, so I did read where you found your brother's guitar and he told you to not touch it, and you couldn't quit touching it. Now, I'm just curious then, after you became such a musical badass, did your brother have you autograph that guitar?
No, I still have that guitar.
Oh, you have it?
It's real funny. Yeah, it was just a little Gibson acoustic starter guitar, and he had it in his closet. He was an artist, a painter, and he drew, and he also rebuilt vintage Mustangs. So he was really talented in a totally different realm than me. But he came to see me at this big arena here when I was touring with ZZ Top, and I think he was real proud of the fact that he didn't kill
had
me
to have
for playing
That's
his
My
guitar.
Sister t-shirt on.
Yeah, the cool thing about Big Brothers is, they treat you like hell and they beat you up and stuff, but they still tell everybody, hey, that's my little sister, don't mess with her.
Right. Right.
So there's an element of pride there for sure.
Oh no, I think that's so exciting. Our granddaughter asked us for drums for Christmas. Oh crap, we gave them to her.
She's only 9 years old.
She's 9.
That's like payback for your kid, isn't it?
No, they live with us.
Well,
Oh God!
well, they don't
What
live
are
with
you
us right
thinking?
now,
No,
but
they're. He's changing jobs and whatever. It's a whole
they're
great thing.
selling
It's a
their-
great situation.
we
But
bought the drums, and then we just learned that they're household fashion. They thought, and they asked, "Can we move in for just a little while?" till
holy
we-"
cow! Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think that's a wonderful thing that you did, and it doesn't matter if she becomes a drummer professionally or not. It's just so important to play music.
Yes.
It helps develop so many different parts of your brain,
Yes.
and it's just a wonderful tool. And when they stop teaching music in schools, we're going to lose a lot of brain power on our future generations. But hopefully that won't happen.
Wow.
We're putting it back in schools, and
That's
and
wonderful.
that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. No, I think it's wonderful.
I tried my hand at teaching guitar for a while, but I've never had lessons, and so I'm not real good at it, simply because I don't know how to teach guitar. I can teach songwriting because I can just be hands-on with someone, and I do have a songwriting workshop that I do, and I do it in Georgia, and then I also do it in France once a year. But that to me is a little easier because I'm hands-on. But most of the guitar students I had were over the internet,
Oh, wow.
virtual students, and that's a whole nother thing, because I don't always understand why they can't do what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a while to understand that every student, it just doesn't come that easily to every student, and everybody doesn't have good time and rhythm and things like that. So I'm a better songwriting teacher, and I'm a better consultant as far as music industry, and like a better mentor, so to speak, than a guitar teacher.
So if you did not take guitar lessons, then music
No,
runs in
I
your
don't know what I'm
DNA, of
doing.
course, like your mom and your grandmother, but music runs in you like water, and that doesn't happen for everybody. And I think that is fabulous.
Well, it's just something, some people are good at math, and some people are good at languages, or I don't know, being an electrician or something. But I'm just kind of good at this thing.
Oh,
And we need everybody.
Yes.
We need everyone to be good
you're
at
right.
other things.
No, you're right, because you'll all make the world sound better. Us painters just make it look better.
Gosh, I'm such an admirer of people who can paint, because I've tried my hand at it, and although I enjoy moving paint around, it takes me out of time and space like nothing else.
Because you can't hear it.
That's right. You're just so engrossed in it, and you're so in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't think, like, when I'm in the moment, I'm engrossed in songwriting and in the moment, but it's a thought thing. And it exhausts me, but I love painting. I'm terrible at it. I draw goats with guitars and things like that.
No, exactly right. No, that's what I was going to say. You paint with music, because I see the pictures.
Well, you hear the pictures, don't you?
I see them. It's
Well,
weird.
I can paint caricatures because it don't matter what they look like. They're supposed to look just goofy, right?
See, that's right. That's why I draw goats with guitars. They're silly.
Yeah.
Goats with guitars. That'd be a great T-shirt.
Oh, someone bought one from me, and they made it into a T-shirt and gave me one, and it makes me laugh every time I put it on.
I think it'd be a great song.
Make art that makes me laugh.
Right. But it'd be a great song. Goats with guitars. How much fun would that be? You have screaming goats.
Well, a few records ago, I put out a song called "Fish Up a Tree," and there's a line in it. Well, it says, "I'm a fish up a tree, and I'm a dog on a bike," and I guess I could have added, "I'm a goat with a guitar," but that didn't come for years later. So.
Oh, wow.
I like that.
I really like that.
I have this silly side that really makes me happy and keeps me giggly.
Cool.
I think a lot of Gen Xers have that because we're just perpetual teenagers or children, really. But, we grew up on the Muppet Show and stuff like that.
And they removed it.
I know. So we have this little fun streak in us that keeps us happy and young.
I'm thankful that my daughter, with her 3 children, are introducing them to the Muppets, and she keeps she's keeping Sesame Street alive, you know, and the Muppet Show and all that alive. And I love. She's showing them all of the '90s cartoons. You know, like SpongeBob is the best.
Yeah, when they were little, I would try to get them in the car when they were little, and I said, let's go. I said, what did I say, Sarah?
Are you ready, kids?
Oh, yeah, and they're supposed to say, aye, Captain. And they watch that cartoon all the time, and I can never get them to say, aye, Captain.
Because we had a bird when he would say that, the bird would squeak, and so all they do is squeak. Anyway.
Well, I guess we're going to...
That's adorable.
Well, time flew by. I guess we're going to have to go ahead and sign off here.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought this was really great.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, now that Southern Comfort's released, what's coming up next? You probably need to take a little break, I guess, huh? Or
lots of touring.
Well,
any new projects in the works or big shows coming up?
Well, I play in Atlanta every New Year's Eve at this venue called Eddie's Attic.
Oh, we've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do 2 shows there every New Year's Eve, and
oh wow!
We have to...
I don't know how many times I've done it now, but more than I can count. So we'll do that. But before that, I've become a Christmas elf. I love Christmas music, and
I do too.
Doug Keys and I, my guitar player, we formed this Christmas band a few years back called the Hot Toddies.
Oh, how
and
fun!
We just do Christmas music, and you know, it's just a labor of love because it's so enjoyable, and it's a way that I get to celebrate Christmas the whole month and get to sing all these great classic songs. So we pretty much just do Christmas songs from the 40s to the very early 60s. So it's very classic.
Oh, good.
But we also, some of the songs we'll just do straight up the traditional way, but other ones we really turn on their ear, and it's a lot of fun.
Some of them need to be turned over.
Yeah, I think if you stream it, I think it's under Michelle Malone and the Hot Toddies. And it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I do have vinyl. I made a couple of colored vinyl records.
Cool.
So I think we've put out at least 2 records by now.
Yeah. Well,
so
cool.
I'll become a Christmas elf, and then I'll be the New Year's Eve queen, and then I'll probably take a lot of time off. I'll take January off, and I don't like to be cold, and I hate touring in the winter, so I try to just stay in the South. And
yeah.
It's like that, you know.
Sarah, we may have to go down to Liz, our daughter in Atlanta, and we may catch one of those I love Christmas shows. I like the more I go to, the more I get in the Christmas spirit. So
right. So I read.
Yeah, well, y'all are also close to Dollywood. Have you done Dollywood at Christmas?
Oh, many times. Yes.
The lights are incredible.
Many times. Love Dollywood.
It's so ridiculous and dripping with Christmas. Just like 100 trees and people singing everywhere. It's the most fun I ever had.
It is.
Dollywood is
so
wonderful.
Darn cold.
And if you can catch it when there's a forecast of a little snowflakes, but not blizzard.
Oh yeah, we've done that too. Yeah, it's wonderful.
We watch for that.
Yeah, we were doing Dollywood when it was Gold Rush Junction.
Yeah,
1,000 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
That just sounds fun. I've only gotten to go that one time for Christmas, but
right now it's all Thanksgiving, so it's beautiful. It's all full of pumpkins and corn shucks, and
I think it's about to change over, isn't it? Is that to Christmas?
Not until after Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, we're gonna sign off here, but wow, man, that was a real treat, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
So big thanks to Michelle Malone, and be sure and check out Michelle online, michellemalone.com. That's right, isn't it, Michelle? michellemalone.com.
Yep, that's me. I've got my vinyl there and everything else.
Yeah.
You can do your Christmas shopping there.
Oh, cool.
Good idea.
Maybe we can find a goat t-shirt for Sarah.
I need a goat t-shirt.
Well, folks, please like, share, and subscribe to My Backstage Pass on your favorite platform. And we'll see y'all next time. Happy trails.
Adios.